Meeting to order, 7:02. Can we have a roll call of attendees?
Yeah, Dan Byer.
Kathy Schofield.
Janice Muldoon-Morris.
Lynn Roberts. That sounded like a kitten got into something that it
You
should.
got that right.
Kind of figured, Janice. There's always cats everywhere on this thing. Okay. I did not get the minutes to everybody, so I think we're up to date on minutes. We've just got the last one to do, right?
Yep.
Okay, I will get those done. I'll send them out tomorrow or Wednesday, and then we can approve them at the next meeting. Okay. As we have Mr. Quirk here, should we go straight in?
Yeah.
You've been waiting a while, I gather. Should we go straight into that? 23 Uxbridge Road? Anybody
with
have any
me.
objection?
No.
Okay. So where do we stand with this? We had the issue where you put in the application and then it was delayed and then we couldn't get in contact with you. And now the situation, I'm not quite clear where we are.
What do you mean you couldn't get in contact with me?
Well, I sent you 2 letters. I called and emailed you. Kathy contacted you once, I believe, by phone and then tried again and couldn't get you. So that was the last that we've heard. The last letter I sent to you was on, we sent the first one 12/27. That was recorded delivery. The second one was 1/11 recorded delivery. Didn't get any response. I also emailed you at the New England Steak and Seafood because I didn't have an email for you. And the last that it was January 11th, I said, we're still trying to contact you regarding access to your rental property at 23 Uxbridge Road. We held our monthly historical commission meeting on January 3rd, ready to discuss the matter with you. We obviously very much look forward to discussing possibilities with you for the property. We have another meeting scheduled for Monday, 17th of January at 7 p.m. Which was that one? Okay. I would appreciate if you could contact me to set something up, and never heard anything from you.
I didn't get any of your emails. I mean, if you're not in my call list, they don't come. They may go to spam. I didn't get any of your emails.
Well, that was a letter. There were 2 letters.
So aside from that, it'll be a year since I applied.
Yep.
So have you found any significance to the property?
We have not, because we've not been able to get access to it.
There's nothing inside that's going to tell you that there's historical reason to keep the house. So have you found any reasons to hold this up any longer?
Well, we haven't been holding it up. I mean, we've been asking you for information on it.
But you're the historical commission.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find the information.
Well, we have. I mean, we have the detail on the actual property and it is of significance to the town. That's why we wanted to come in and see it.
So how and why is it significant to the town?
Kathy? Kathy?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Lynn,
We
can you hear me?
Historical information on that property?
Yeah, so what we do know is that the property is associated with Marcus Aldrich, who was a very important figure in the community. So he was among many other positions, selectman. He started the Historical Society. Sorry, I'm trying to get my dog in. And a multitude of other things. He was a very well-respected community member. So his affiliation with the community is strong.
So again, I'm going to ask the same question. How does that take this piece of property and make it so that we're going to hold this up any longer? It's not in the historical district, and that isn't enough to go by.
It doesn't have to be in the historic district for it to be significant. It's any property that is deemed historic, of historic significance to the town, which being Mr. Aldrich's family. Can I
Yeah,
deal
go
with this first?
Sure.
So what we are looking at doing is anything that is of historic significance to the town, we would obviously like to keep. We're running out of historically significant properties in town. There are fewer and fewer. We're just losing them in numbers by year, and we don't have a lot to start with. So when we first spoke to you about this, the whole reasoning behind this and what we do with every property is whenever there's an application come in of a property that would be deemed significant by age, is we automatically do a deed search and we go back into the history of the property and its significance to the town. This particular property is significant to the town. It meets the requirements for the demolition delay. However, what we don't want to do is we don't want to hold up anybody who has plans for a piece of property or a home unless we absolutely have to. Our wish, our desire with this particular property, as we said to you way back when you first spoke to us, was we would like to see if there is any way that we can preserve the property or make or find somebody who would want that property if it involved moving the property, whatever we could absolutely do with that. And you had told us that we said, could we get in and have a look at the property? Because without knowing what it's like, what the condition is, I think at the time you had told us that there was problems inside the property. Without us actually seeing what those problems may be, we can't make an informed decision on whether or not somebody else might want to buy it, might want to move it, like they did with the Comstock house, whatever. We can isolate a piece of land that we can do that with. And you had said, well, yeah, okay, think of some things that you think you could do with the property, with the house, because I don't want the house, but I want the land. I said, fine. And you were going to come back in January and you wanted us to come up with some ideas. And we had said to you, great, but we need to get in and see the property. At the time you told us that you had renters in there, so it wouldn't be possible for us to get in and actually see it. But as soon as it was vacant, that you would contact us, let us know. That's when Kathy contacted you. I contacted you to try and get in and actually see the property. And we never heard a word. We didn't get any response from you whatsoever. We can only do so much, and we didn't hear from you.
In the last meeting, you had shown an interest in moving the house. So, and I expressed to you in the last meeting that I would go to January 1st.
Yep.
Which is already passed.
Yep.
And that would be the extent of where I would go. If you had a place to move it, you are more than welcome to take it. January 1st is gone. It's now, we're approaching November, and I still don't have my demo permit. Okay,
there's a little bit of confusion there because I was not under the impression that we were given until January 1st to move it.
Well, you can look
It
in your
was,
minutes.
we had invited you to come back to the meeting in December and discuss it with us on the first meeting of the year, which was January the 3rd. We never heard from you. We scheduled another meeting for January the 17th and wrote to you and said, our next meeting, January 17th at 7 p.m., if you could become available so we could discuss it with you. It was, I guess I'm confused. I don't know if anybody else on the commission remembers it any clearer than I do,
No.
But, you know.
I
Sorry.
remember it as you said.
And in the letter, I said, if you're not able to join us, I mean, we can't do anything or make anybody any promises or talk about moving a property unless we've actually been able to see inside the property.
But you don't even have any place to move it to.
But we don't know if we even want to.
You don't want to.
Well,
Believe
we
me,
do.
you don't want to.
Well, but you get what where I'm coming from. I'm really not wanting to be difficult.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, unless we go in and try and see what it is, if there is somewhere we can move it to, if there is someone who's interested. I mean, it's a really cute little house. I don't know what it's like. I'm not going to trespass. I'm not going to walk around and have a look at it and say, yeah, we can't move this, it'll fall down. I don't know those things. So we did what was reasonable, contacted the homeowner yourself to say, when can we come see it? And as you didn't respond, we just said, well, we'll put your application on hold until such time as we can schedule a meeting. That was all we could do.
So you have to make a decision within the 6-month period.
We have to make an informed decision.
The problem is we needed, or the process has us make a determination. So I think because the application was tabled, we therefore didn't proceed. We didn't
Do
It
anything
wasn't
with it. Right,
a point to make a decision.
right.
So really at this point, the next steps would be to make a determination and then schedule a public hearing and consider a delay, whether any of that makes sense or not.
Yeah, you see,
I'm
what I
not,
what I would have liked to have done was if we'd been able to
I
see
don't
it, and as you say, you don't want it, we probably don't. I don't know that though, without actually seeing it, or any of the commission or somebody actually seeing it and saying, Lynn, you can't move it, or no one's going to want it. What are you going to do with it? And that would have been well within the 6 months. Because we were not able to take that step, we tabled your application until you contacted us, which was a week or two ago. So I get where you're coming from. It's been like nearly a year, but the process was stopped in January when we didn't get any response from you. So we actually stopped the whole process because, I mean, we couldn't do anything, basically.
So I'd like you to provide me with, in writing, the historical significance to this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, because I'm going to go and get my demo permit as soon as tomorrow, because you have not you've exceeded your 6 months. I'm not going to wait any longer.
But we didn't exceed our 6 months. We tabled it. We advised you every step of the way.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what more we can do.
Well, do you want the house?
I don't know because I haven't seen it.
Well, if you want the house, you better come get it soon, because I'm going to tear it down.
Could I ask a question? Yes, Mr. Quirk. I'm just curious to know why you didn't respond to any of our requests, to certified mail, to emails, to phone call. Why did you not respond?
So I did not get any emails.
Yes, you did.
Well, I did not get any emails because they could have possibly gone to my spam. I didn't get any emails. But in
Okay,
our-
certified letters?
in the meeting that we did have, I did give the commission till January 1st to make a decision. If they had a place to move the house, they could move it. No one has said they wanted to move the house.
Okay. In the meeting, and I think you can clarify this if you go back and watch, we discussed that we would reconvene the conversation. We did not suggest that it would be moved or that anybody would be, I mean, we just said we would come back and talk again.
Kathy, do you have a place to move the house to?
Well, we don't know if the
I
house.
do not know.
We know
We don't know what we're working with.
regardless of whether you think the house would survive the move. Do you have anywhere to move it to?
There are possibilities.
Do you have any place to move it to? Give me a possibility.
Okay, John, I think you're missing the point. I think, you know, what's taken place is that we tried our best effort to reach out and talk this through with you, and we didn't get a response. So we did the only thing that we knew to do, which was just to table it. And if you would, I mean, I would say if you're ready, you know, to go ahead and move forward with a demo permit, we will sit down and do a review and see where it goes. Is there a pending emergency for you to have it down immediately?
I just want the permit, that's all.
Could we potentially just schedule a hearing and consider the final, you know, and close this out without starting World War III? I guess is the way I see it, you know, is that,
The main problem that I'm having,
I mean,
we're running around in circles.
right.
I get Mr. Quirk's point. I get it. However, we are also following a procedure here. And when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times we tried to contact you, and you've waited a year when you told us that you would discuss it with us in January, and now you've left it till November.
I told you that I would give you till January to find a place to move the house to. If you had.
And we
someplace
had said
move
to
it
you at that time, we had said to you, yes, but we need access to the property. We wanted to see the property. And you told us that you had people in there that were given notice that they would be out. We've not had any response from you at all about being able to access the property or see the property.
Is that in the bylaw now? Because it wasn't when I did mine.
Excuse me?
Is that in the bylaw that you need to inspect the interior?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
no, it's absolutely not. But if someone wants to tear the property down, what we said was, can we have an opportunity to go see? How do we know? It's like buying a car. And someone says, yep, you can buy the car. And we say, well, we can't buy the car because we don't know if it works. And they say, well, think about it and then let me know. You got to know what you're working with. And we have no clue, even now, what we're working with. And one thing it does say in the bylaw that as soon as the application goes in and there is a hearing, or there is going to be a hearing scheduled or whatever, that the property has to be.
It's just, I found the struggle with this process also when I did mine. I actually, thank God, eventually clearer heads prevailed. But I mean, I get a letter saying I needed pictures, and I get another letter saying I needed this. And it seemed like,
I can't answer to that because
Yeah,
I was
know
maybe
that.
not on the commission. I don't
I
know.
understand, but I'm trying to explain that the process isn't laid out very well. To explain it to the person who's applying for the permit, to go through the delay. You know, you guys need to put something together so the person knows right up front what they're gonna need to do. I mean, I was being requested for stuff from the Historical Commission in Boston that I was supposed to check. I don't think, at that time, I didn't think it was my duty to do that. And when I finally met with the Historical Commission, a certain amount of members agreed with that.
May I add something, Bill?
I've still got the letters.
Go, Kathy.
I was just going to say, Bill, I think you know that we've worked with Lonnie Tinio and Town Council to
Yeah.
clean that all up.
Yeah,
And I think, you know, I think we just have to embrace the new process and run with it. You know, it was outdated, and that is why we brought it back to the town voters. Get it cleaned up so that it's a better process for everyone.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying is you need to lay it out. Tell the person.
Well, and I think we
before-
do. I think we do now. Because the minute that an application with the computer system that is in the town, the minute an application is received, that person is contacted. We schedule meetings as quickly as we can. We don't want to hold anybody up. That's not our job. It's not our desire. They know instantly exactly what the process is. We take them through that process very thoroughly.
So you're gonna do an inspection in the house, you may need photographs, you may need this.
It does say we need photographs. Yep.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
can I maybe
So it says it in
consider,
here.
well, can I just suggest a path forward for this situation? Because I think regardless of the path at the past, at this point, they've come back, the application has been brought forward.
Mhm.
I think we now need to make a determination and hold a hearing. And then have that discussion at the hearing. I don't see how,
But I don't understand, if we schedule a hearing for a month's time, which is when our next meeting
Well,
will be, but we
or even-
won't have, but are we in a situation where we can have access and see the house if it's worth moving? If there's anything
unfortunately,
we can do with it?
I'm not sure, and I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Cindy.
I've not.
The way this bylaw, once it's come to us, we'd have so many days to make a determination.
Right.
We did not do that because it got tabled. It sounds like at this point, it's now been untabled. That bell now has been rung again. We've got to make a determination or we lose out. We can't just hold it up.
I agree, you just can't.
I think at a certain point, we're going to run out of abilities to just stall, or not stall, that's a bad term.
We're
but
not
to hold it
stalling,
up.
no, we've not stalled
I don't think-
anything here, let's get that.
I don't think the
right
bylaw
out.
says they have to provide us access. It doesn't say any of that. It basically says, and if it, depending on whether this is under the old or the new one,
It says it will work with the historical commission.
you know, and I guess,
consider
I don't know
that
what
to be
Cindy
working
said
with
to
the
you.
Historical commission.
I mean, I guess
So
my,
what do we-
my suggestion
what
though,
do
If you came with a buyer who wanted to go in, that'd be one thing, but if you're just saying in general, every historical home you're gonna walk up to, some may not be safe to go in, so you can't make a general, statement like that. And, you know, it's gotta be,
But.
the bylaw
but
has to be
we- But
grounded.
we don't know that.
I guess, could
How do
we,
we know that?
could we get access to look at this house and potentially do a hearing on the 3rd when we already get the district hearing? Is that enough
I
time?
agree, that's the approach.
Yeah, that's good.
If we can, and just close this out, because I think unfortunately, I think, like you said, I think we're just gonna go in circles, and I don't
Yeah.
know, you know, if any, at this point, if anything's gonna change, if at this point we can coordinate to get access to look at it, and then that's information that can be used at the hearing. But at the hearing, you know, and then we decide whether there's any benefit to enacting a delay.
Right.
I think you guys should move all these homes to the corner, make a little Sturbridge village up there.
I think so too. I would be 100% in favor of that if it meant we've still got the homes and if we can work with people to do it. I think it's a much better idea
Yeah,
rather
thing
than
is,
just having them ripped down, but I would.
some of these
we can't do
decisions are
that.
fiscal, and sometimes people can't wait a year and a half to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. I understand your point, and I get it. You know, I think it's just a matter of, you know, sometimes fiscally, it's not.
Yeah, Bill, I just want to be crystal clear that we have made every effort to reach out and resume the conversation. We did not hold the process up. Unless it was
understand.
based on a giant misunderstanding. So I agree with Dan. Let's move forward. Let's get this done.
So we have a public hearing scheduled on,
Well-
that we don't.
I suggest, so the historic district has a hearing at 6 PM on Thursday, the 3rd, for the historic district, because we had to have the hearing 60 days after the planning board.
Right.
So we had to do a second hearing.
Okay.
So my only thought was, it's already a clear date, we'll already be here, and I don't, unless we, you know, our next meeting is the 21st, but again, unless there's some reason we need those extra 3 weeks, if people are available. Personally, I'd rather just get this off our table. If there's something
Our
to be
next
done,
meeting is the 21st of November, you mean?
yeah.
Right.
You know, if there's something to be done, I mean, it's unfortunate. It sounds like, you know, I mean, unfortunately, this is the same problem we had over on Hartford Ave East. It's prime commercial real estate
Right.
that happens to have a historic home.
Right.
And you know, it would be nice if that could somehow be incorporated to the future development or something. I don't know, but I don't know what's realistic or what we can actually do.
I don't either.
You know, or if you know, if somebody really wants to move that house and has somewhere to put it,
Right.
that would have to be, you know, advertised, and
Yeah, not every home.
I'm
is a
not sure the
Comstock
town
home.
is gonna pay for
Comstock
that.
home was a extremely nice home before.
Not every home in Mendon is a Comstock home because all of the homes of significance in Mendon were farmhouses.
Yeah.
And that's why we've got all these, you know, very few of these ones left, because you had a little tiny historic home on 3 or 4 acres of really good property that someone wanted to use. I get it. I get it. If it was
Yeah, I
my
mean,
house, I get it.
You
But
still
what
have a
I'm-
triangle that, you know, that's all significant homes in most of them.
Well, I mean,
That's
but I
me.
think what we do have to do is, you know, we have to make an effort.
Yeah,
And that's all we're doing here, is trying to make an effort.
I don't disagree with you.
If you want to go ahead and schedule a public hearing for it, to determine the significance, I'm okay with that, but I don't know, we already know the significance. We know what how it fits into the demo delay.
Well, so the way, and
You have to decide whether you want the property or not. I mean, because you deem it significant, doesn't take away his right to either remove the property, or you just have to decide whether you want it.
so the way the bylaw is written, though, we have to determine significance. If it's not significant, then there's no hearing. If it is significant.
We've already determined it was significant, though.
Well, I think we tabled the application because that determination had to be made within so many days. Under the old bylaw, we have 22
We made the
days.
determination on 10/18/21,
So,
but then it was tabled.
right, that's, I think,
So,
at this point,
so that's the
then at this
there
point,
that I don't know where I don't.
I think
know.
at this point, and that's a Cindy conversation, I think we need to hold that hearing or we'll find ourselves without a leg to stand on from a legal perspective, to be quite honest. I think the bylaw does have expirations,
We'll just make a motion.
and I just don't want this to, turn into a huge fight where the net result is what would have happened anyway.
I
guess.
I don't want to do that either. But
Yeah,
what I don't know is if we schedule a public hearing, now we're going to be determining significance.
no, you just said we already determined the significance,
We've determined significance. So what the hearing will be
whether to
to
enact a
whether
delay or not.
enact the demolition delay, right?
Right. And
Okay.
again, I guess, from my perspective, is there any benefit to waiting another 6 or 9 months? I don't know. Unless somehow there's a place to move it, or, I guess being realistic, I don't know what our options are.
Well, and again, it goes back to how do we,
Especially depending on the
if there
condition
are
of
some
it.
people out there that we could approach to see if they would want the house, if we could move the house, the first thing they're going to want to do is see the house, and we can't do that.
True.
So, I mean, what do? We just say, yep, okay, we can't do anything.
Yeah, I think that was kind of my point, that if you'd done that a year ago, that would have made sense. You've got that 6-month window. You can't make it all up to the property owner. If you want to find someone to move that house, get the person and then make arrangements to get him inside. Because it doesn't do you any good to go inside.
We made that offer for 2
But you
months
didn't have a
here.
buyer at that point.
Who knew that?
We knew that.
You knew there was no buyer for it?
No,
You
I'm
told
saying
me
that-
there wasn't.
Who did?
At the meeting, you told me that you didn't have a place to put the house. I asked you that at the meeting when I was.
I think you should just schedule the hearing.
I was on Zoom.
At the meeting.
I was on Zoom.
No,
in
at
that
the meeting,
I
we
said I
didn't
would
even
give you
know
till
anything
January
about the
1st.
house. We didn't know anything about the house at the meeting. We only had one meeting. The one meeting that we had was where you presented the application. So I couldn't know if anybody wanted it or we had anywhere to move it because we hadn't even discussed it.
I think Dan's on the spot with this. I mean, I deal with time issues all the time from the planning level. I think Dan's right on the spot with this. You can't hold up an application because he won't let you inside the house. You can't
No,
table it.
But that wasn't even, if that had not been the issue, if at any point we'd been told, absolutely not, you cannot come inside that house, you make your determination without it, that's fine. But we have been left
You should
for
just
10
assume
months, we've been left with 10 months not having any activity or knowing what we could or couldn't do. We asked a question, we got no response. So where do we?
Well, I
So-
think it was tabled for that period of time, but I think at this point now, I think that it can't be tabled any further. Like, at this point, the applicant's come back.
Yeah, I
So at
agree. I
this
don't
point,
think we should table it. But-
Ideally, if we could get access, if that would give us more information at this hearing. But I think holding a hearing and considering a delay is the only option we have, other than just
Yep.
revising our decision and finding
Right.
it significant.
Could I make a suggestion that we go ahead and make a motion to hold the hearing? And because I believe that this is just turning into some misinformation
Yeah.
and speculation. And I mean, I think we all agree that we all want to move forward. Let's see what we can do. Let's schedule the hearing. And if perchance there's a Hail Mary pass in there, we'll throw it and see what happens. Otherwise, we're just going to move forward.
Yep. Works for me.
I mean,
So do you have some written information on the significance of the house?
I can get that for you.
so the deed search brings it back to 1900, Marcus Aldrich. You know, and it's more than, so it meets, so you're just looking at the bylaw. It would meet standard number 1 because of its age. And I suppose it would meet 4.3 that it was associated with the lives or life of persons significant in the history. How long did he have it for? 89. Aldrich, Gunn, Daniels, Cook. I mean, it just, you know, did George Washington live in it? No, but it was certainly tied to names that were important to early Mendon.
But earlier in this meeting, you said that you had found significance that this was historical to the town.
Right.
So you must have something written that says what the significance is.
Sure. Well, Dan just told you, the first one is
Significant that it was
age.
owned by
We have
Marcus
the
Aldrich.
age.
And
It
then
was owned by
Nathan
Marcus
Daniels,
Aldrich. Yeah.
Ira Cook.
I mean, if you'd like us to write that out, we can write it out for
Let me
you.
look.
I would imagine that coming to this meeting, you would already have something written out that says that this historic piece of property and
We have,
You know what? I would like to say one more thing. I hope that we remember that we are volunteers and that we are charged with mission and that we respect each other's positions and we are willing to work and move forward. And I say we just leave it at that. Is that all right with everyone?
works. Okay, so Kathy, I have your motion then to schedule a public hearing for November the 3rd
Does that work? So at 7?
at
At
7.
7
gonna-
p.m.
Put the hearing
At
notice in the mail
7.
like tomorrow.
Yep. Is there a better way that we have of contacting you other than your, email and addresses and phone calls? I mean, I sent an email to New England Steak and Seafood. I mean, I don't know how else we can contact you. If I'm sending you letters and you said you're not receiving them, they were recorded delivery by the post office. So
I'm right in that building 100 hours a week.
not in there, from the home address that we have for you.
I don't get mail at my house.
Pardon?
I don't get mail at my house.
Well, the post office accepted it and sent it certified delivery.
Not to my, well, I don't get mail at my house.
Okay.
My mailing address is the
Well,
state.
then there's a big block of mail somewhere, or they should have returned it, which they didn't. So I don't know. Let's just move on. So let's make a motion to hold that public hearing on November 3rd, 7 p.m. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Thanks, Janice. Dan, vote.
Okay.
Hi, Dan. Kathy? Janice?
Yep.
Steve? All right, motion's carried. We will hold the public hearing on November the 3rd at 7 p.m. in this room. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn.
I have
Welcome.
a decision on November 3rd.
I believe at that night, at that hearing is going to be to consider enacting a demolition delay
Mhm.
or not. So that will be the decision that this board makes,
Mhm.
which then has so many days to go to the building department. And then you do need to apply to them for a demolition permit,
I've already
right?
applied.
Okay. So, that would be the
I just want,
options of the process. And then, you know,
I
I don't-
just want to reassure Mr. Quirk that we're going to do our due diligence and do our research and make sure he's got the information that he needs and that we will make an informed decision,
That's perfect.
understanding exactly where you're coming from.
Works for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. Yeah?
what is,
No, I just said good night. Am I
Oh, okay.
speaking?
no, you
are
cut
a little
out.
bit, yeah.
Because I'm gonna
Okay.
put those in the mail, because I gotta mail the hearing notices for the district.
And do you need help with the abutters list?
I'm going to get it from Jean because she prints the mailing labels for us, so we get official. So it will go to the official mailing address as listed in the tax records.
Okay.
What is this?
Okay.
General permit. Property owner, other, weatherization.
Moving on, actually moving backwards. If we go to 3A, which is discuss the hearing date for the historic resource inventory review. So when we first sent out that letter, we did not have a date. We just said in December, didn't we? So are we going to need to?
So, well, we had tentatively picked a date, and then I booked a gig on the date we picked. So I think if we could look at some other dates, that would be helpful.
Okay. Well, I've got 2 dates here. I've actually, for December, I have no idea why. I have 3 dates. I've got the 13th at 7. I've got the 15th at 7, and I've got the 19th at 7, and I have no idea which of those is the right one.
So the 15th was the date we discussed.
Okay.
I unfortunately am no longer available that night.
Dan, you've got to give up
Because
your personal life. This is the town
I
life.
had other things, and
Dan.
unfortunately,
Can we do it on the 19th?
I think that might be a bit, if that works for everybody. I think this could be a long meeting. We currently have 27 properties. My suggestion would be, and I'll send this link out again, perhaps, I assume there's some number of these that are basically a rubber stamp that we could just do them in mass. So
Yep.
we only have to talk about the ones that need to be talked about,
Yep.
because there's certainly some of these that don't belong on the inventory.
Okay.
Somebody jumped on the district before it started to ask, so I put that on the list too, because he didn't get a
When the
letter.
date was?
What the process was.
Okay.
Um,
How are we going to, so we will notify the 27 people.
We have to send out a
but
hearing
don't we have to
notice
send one out
to
to
everybody.
everybody?
We have to send out a 300-foot abutters notice to every single property on this list. So there's going to be a pretty decent amount of
So
mail,
would it be,
probably with some
I was
overlap.
going to say, would it be a good idea to send out the letter to everybody that we sent out to before, but there may be some abutters on that list that,
No, we're going to need to, like everybody on this list, we're going to have to ask for a 300-foot radius abutters list and mail just like we would for any other hearing.
oh Lord.
So there'll be a couple good stacks of mail we're going to have to sit down and work through, probably the beginning of December. I'm going to think about the best way to do that. I need to talk to Jean if I can get the stuff electronically, because I think like we don't need to send duplicate mailings to people. But I believe
Well, wait a
most of these
minute.
are pretty sparse. There shouldn't be that much overlap. Let me look again. Like Washington, Hartford Ave West, Blackstone, Milford, Bates, Cape, Taft, George, Hartford Ave West, Taft. There's a couple Taft. So the ones I think I'll probably combine the ones on the same street and think about them a little bit.
Okay.
Um,
Do we need to notify everybody that we sent letters to before about this, that this is going to be the review date, reminding them that they've got to get that in or not?
No, the only thing we're required to do under the bylaw is there's a process for making changes to the inventory. We have to post the hearing 14 days notice, mail a copy to the applicant, the property owner, and any abutter within 300 foot. And then the only other requirement is that we'll review it once a year and handle the cost of mailings and all that. So this is our annual hearing that we're doing at our cost. If you come to us and say, I need a hearing right away, you have to pay for that hearing, or you can wait till next year.
Okay,
So they all got a letter. I think they all got a letter with a deadline of early in November.
right.
And then the ones that have come through, we basically said, we've got your application. We'll follow up with the specific date and time. We just have to handle the legal portion of it.
Okay. Okay, so should we, so we should probably develop a letter letting everybody know, right?
I have a hearing notice template. It's actually built into Viewpoint, so it's auto-generating the template.
Okay,
We're just gonna have to print out stacks of them with the, so we'll probably have to build, probably what I will do is assemble it all and then see if we can come in and stuff all the envelopes.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we're gonna have a coffee day, ladies,
But
Christmas coffee day. I'll supply
Oh,
the,
I'm up for it.
I automated the, in Viewpoint, it'll generate the notice with the proper thing. I made some, so actually, I think I did this for demo delay, or maybe we haven't gotten that far yet. Basically sent, just so we have less data entry we gotta deal with.
okay.
Dan, can I ask you why we are having to do the perimeter? I mean, these are individual properties.
So, well, unfortunately, at this point, because it's in the bylaw and we have no choice unless we amend the bylaw again. But I think the original bylaw required when we do it, so like when we do the hearing for Mr. Quirk, we would send out a notice to all abutters.
Right.
So that because that process is now here in the new bylaw, this is the hearing.
Yep.
And then again, if the property was on the list and wanted demolition, then we would do another hearing notice for that hearing as well. And I think it's just the idea is that you're notifying abutters that this property could come down. Maybe the neighbor says, I want to buy it. Maybe people are concerned about what's happening in their neighborhood. That was in the old bylaw, so I carried it forward.
But I'm with Kathy a little bit on this because yes, if someone like Mr. Quirk is going to pull that house down, we should notify the abutters.
Yeah.
However, this is not about pulling that house down. This is about being on an inventory.
Except, let's use that as an example. Let's say he has a hearing and he gets removed from that list. He now can get a demo permit with no further objection. There's no more hearings. He's good to go because he's not on our list. This list is the sole registration of properties that are subject to demo delay. That's what the new bylaw did.
Right.
It serves other purposes. It's a resource, it's a reference, but the main reason, the idea being that is we no longer have to do, and actually it answers some of their concerns. There's no more determination about significance. If you're on the list, it's significant.
Right.
And then the only thing we're holding a hearing about is whether to enact a demolition delay.
Right.
And then during that delay period, that would be used because there's an alternative, another buyer, a grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll just be limited to these 27 people.
I mean, I think,
a lot
without
to
getting into too much, so the vast majority of these, 1949, 1949, 1930, I mean, my initial thought is most of the applications that come through are probably have no business being on the list.
Right.
There are,
We have to draw a line somewhere.
1840, 1900. There are some of these we're going to need to talk about. 1890, the Pettinelli property, they applied.
Which is that one?
That's that old brown farmhouse on Cape Road.
Oh.
So, personally, I would absolutely think that should be historically significant. That's, but we'll have to discuss at the hearing. So there's some that we're going to have to talk about. And then there's some that are just,
Okay.
like the one we did the other meeting that just, it's not significant.
Okay.
So are we going to have to research each and every one of these properties to explain historical significance?
Yes, but I think, again, of the 27, I think 20 of them should take about 15 seconds to look at the age of the house, look at it, and it's obvious that it, a 1940s house that has no value,
Right.
And
I think that's absolutely fair because so my question is, if somebody applies to have their house stricken from the list,
right.
but we deem it historically significant, does it mean it stays historically significant?
Yes, we have the final say.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
It's I think the whole reason behind this was to try and, and I actually would wonder if, we might consider taking that list and starting with the youngest houses and recommending for removal on our own. And maybe for next year, next go
Well, if
around.
people want to leave them on, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Yeah, well, I think the idea would be to pare the list down a little bit to not waste our time with things that we don't need to waste our time with versus, the properties that we really care about.
Right.
But I think that might be a project for next year to say, let's pick the
All right, well, let's look
50
at
youngest
that.
Let's
Let's look at that. I think once we get sorry, Janice, what?
How many applied to be, many houses?
27.
27 at this point.
So, who's going to research them? I mean, can I have somebody research them to find out which ones have historical significance?
Well, Dan just said of the 27, there are probably 20 that are not considered significant or probably shouldn't have been on the list anyway. But if you've got to remember, we picked everything. We had to set a date. So we set 1950. So anything
Right.
prior to 1950 was deemed significant until proven otherwise. Some of these, like 20 of these houses are like 1949. And so they're not really significant. So of that, we may have 7 left, and the Historical Commission, if they're really old houses, the Historical Society has probably already done deed searches on a lot of these.
Yeah, you know what, if we can get a
I've
running
actually
list.
linked them all up.
We can
Oh, Dan
cross-
said he's linked them all.
Oh, good, all right. Dan, do you have a running list?
Yeah,
right
I'll
now?
resend this link. It's a Google sheet. So over on the right, I have a column where I was pulling up Patrice's deed search and linking it.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I must have missed that.
Yeah, I think I missed it too.
It was a while ago.
I remember saying sending a link, and I think foggy brain just kind of cut it off.
So I think, I don't want to screen share just because it's got people's phone numbers and stuff in it, but
Yeah, no.
we don't and we got to be, we can't deliberate, but I think there's a spot for notes and there's a spot for, our recommendations. And so we can
Okay.
plug in all that. Like I said, I just looked again. There's about 7 of them that I think need some further in-depth research, but like this one is 1950 and it may not have even been built in 1950 from what we're finding.
Okay.
So there's stuff like that.
All right.
I think it would be pretty rare for one of these like 1910 houses on Kinsley Lane, unless maybe it is one of those cabins that we do care about.
Well, I mean, I think, as you said, we're going to go through them anyway. Fortunately, it's 27. It's not 270. But, I think definitely we'll have to start. So if you're going to handle that, sending out the letters about it and doing the abutters, just let us know when you're ready for envelopes to have labels on and all that kind of thing. And we should probably do that. I think we gave everybody till November, beginning of November. I can't remember when we gave them.
Historic Commission letters.
All right. Okay, does anybody have anything else on that?
Well, we have to put,
Oh, hang on.
we have to put them in the mail, I would say. So if we're gonna do the 19th, we should plan on getting everything in the mail the week of the 28th.
Or earlier.
When is planning? 2nd and 4th. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll resend this if if you think of it, just pick 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe I would be of the opinion that if your house is just going by age alone, so if your house was built in 1890, you need to tell us why it's not significant.
Yep.
Otherwise, my perspective is just on the age alone,
Keep it.
I have all the information I need to make a decision.
Right.
This house that was built in 1949, we might just say, you know what, get rid of it.
Mhm.
So I actually don't think we have to do all that much work here. It would be up to the applicant to defend.
Right, to ask, to tell,
The
well, that was
removal?
what we said. You have to tell us why you want it off the list. So
Right,
they're the
and-
people who've got to come and say,
you know, like,
And not turn around and say, well, why is it on the list?
you know, if you're,
Why is it significant? You have to tell me.
right, like in one case, one of these properties is listed in the potential new proposed district.
Okay.
So it's irrelevant because by being on the district, you're
You're in it.
by default. You know, another property, you know, if their reasoning is we are denying to have our information on this list, well, sorry, that's not how this
And if
works.
it's an old property, it's already on a list
Right.
somewhere. We're
Um,
just actually putting together a new one, which we should have been providing to the state as it was years ago.
You know, but like, you know, house has been fully renovated in 2000, that maybe is different.
Mhm.
So.
Okay.
So that's something we should put in this letter, you know, the expectation is that you're going to come to us with something as to why your house should be removed
Mhm.
or provide it.
Yep. Okay, does anybody have
I don't
anything
know.
else on that?
Just to recap, November 19th is going to be the hearing.
December.
Oh, December, sorry. December 19th,
Yeah,
7 PM at the town hall. All right, and Dan, you're going to let us know when you need us to do the mailings.
Yeah, we'll figure out, unless it turns out it's not a lot, but.
December the 19th. Okay.
All right.
Will we make that part of we'll make that part of our meeting?
Yeah, I think that'll probably be most of the meeting, but
Mm.
there's usually not a whole lot going on other than
Right.
random projects. I mean, if it turns out we have some other demo thing come through, we may have to, you know,
Schedule
just
something
do
else.
another meeting the week after or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to
Okay.
find.
Okay, does anybody else have anything on the inventory? Nope. Okay, moving on to 3C. Discuss proposed community preservation projects for November. I don't think, we didn't have anything. We had Ellen's wanting, but,
I just left him as placeholder. So Ellen, we still get it. Ellen wants money to preserve some documents. We got to get a price and she doesn't have time and I haven't had time yet.
a price from,
Green Dragon. We had to bring them the documents and they got to look at them. But I think it's going to be under 10,000. To me, it's a no brainer. But we just need a dollar amount, but that's not necessarily an action item for this committee. I think we already discussed and voted on them. I just left them
we
on.
did.
Yeah,
We did, but have we put language in the warrant
Yeah.
on that? Okay.
that was handled.
So if it's under 10,000, I mean, so she can get done what she can for that 10,000?
I guess my thought process is we are taking in, I forget the number now, $200,000 a year in CPA funds to spend $5,000 on something. I'm not that stressed about it. If it was a $20,000-$30,000 project, we would need to do a lot more diligence and work. They're old
Well,
tax
and-
books.
Right, and I think that
They're clearly,
what we do is we can put in the warrant there that she would be given a sum not to exceed $10,000 and get all the documents done that she can for that. Anything more that she has would have to come up in the spring.
yeah, I mean, we'll have the dollar amount so it'll be in the motion.
We will? Okay.
I believe it's actually CPA that will do all that. So I don't know if we need to really take any action unless we object to something. But I think
so you think
community
Ann will do
preservation is going to need to recommend the final amount. And I think Ann had asked for us to have numbers to
Right.
her for her
She
next
did, but
meeting.
Yeah, we haven't, so.
So I talked to Ellen. One of us just has to drive up there with the box of stuff.
Where is it?
Shrewsbury.
Okay, does she want, I'll do it if
I-
somebody gives me,
I can forward, if you have some time, I could forward you the info on what they want. We just got to
Send
schedule an
me.
appointment and then,
send me the info. I'll get the box, I'll take it up there. And I can do that,
they just got to look.
any day this week.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Except Friday.
I'll send you both an email
Okay.
and that would be
And if you
great.
want to ride, Janice, I'm around. We can go up there. I know some good places for lunch in Shrewsbury.
So that covers that one, I think.
Dan, can we just make an official vote I'm not sure if it's recorded on any of the other meeting
Yeah.
minutes.
All right,
So-
that's good.
I'll make a motion to approve up to $10,000 of CPA historic money to cover the cost of preservation of documents identified by the town clerk.
I second. Kathy, do you have that motion written down? Are you doing minutes or am I?
Yeah, I'll do them. I'll do them.
Okay, so you've got that. Okay, so Kathy, so Dan, your vote?
Yeah, I.
Janice?
Aye.
All right, Kathy and Lynn. Okay, motion carried.
Lynn, did you second that?
I
thought that
did.
was you.
I did. Yep. Okay. What were the other ones on that CPP for,
So the other two,
was one window?
one of them is windows for the town hall. And I know I haven't had time to, I got to reach out to that gentleman and find a little bit more. I know Kathy tried to reach out to Jade. I don't think we've heard back yet.
No, I
At this
haven't.
point, though, it's just really some engineering money. It's not the work. It's just asking for like 10 or 20,000 to do the research, potentially hire an architect, whatever BS we got to jump through to satisfy the state. And then in the spring, we would ask for the money for the windows, which could be several $100,000.
Right.
But at least come up with a plan. So
Dan, is Kim gonna do a request for proposal on that?
I think, I have not discussed with her. I kind of think that I have to call that Paul Holtz or contact him. He apparently never replied to that email and understand exactly what the state wants. And then I don't think we need to do an RFP to just hire an architect or an engineer to
Yeah,
spec.
but if it's only between 10 and 20, I think we're okay if we do 3 quotes.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, again, I don't know what the state wants. Does the state, are they okay with just saying you're going to do ABC window, or do they want engineered plans? I really don't know.
I'm
Um,
not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure, but they'll have to approve, whatever we move forward with. So, yeah, let's say that state should approve the plan.
I think you were the one who's, the idea is that, we would hire Jade to come out and advise us.
Yeah, but that takes her out of the equation, doesn't it?
I don't
Provide
know.
a vote?
I think because Horsley and Witten was able to do the design, but also bid as the project manager for the campus project.
All right, well, you know what? I'll ask Jade again.
Yeah, I think we basically need a consultant to help us write the RFP, and then we would write the RFP for the Springtown meeting.
Okay, all right.
Maybe we'll circle back to that topic if you saw my email from today, but
Email from today.
yeah, I will I have something I want to bring up under 48 hours.
Okay.
But I guess I think we have to push this if we want it to happen. Otherwise, nobody cares and nobody will do anything.
I agree.
But I think, the windows are crap. They barely work. Now's the time to at least do this as part of this other work that's being done.
Right.
Well, it may not, because they're old, it might not just be a matter of replacing the window. It might be more than that. So
Yeah.
you need someone to look at it. Okay, what was the third thing?
The third one was for the upstairs of the library.
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest, I don't have the time to deal with it anymore.
As you shouldn't.
I'm kind of thinking unless it was the same idea. I think we need to hire an architect or do some sort of a study to help us come up with a plan for the second floor. Put a ramp in. I think the tentative idea would be just turn it into a file room.
What a waste of space.
Well, I think actually, I think that's the ideal spot to have all your archives on that second floor. It's not really a usable, it's no bathroom up there.
Oh, there is, okay, I've never been
There's
up.
only one bathroom in the basement. I mean, personally, if, you know, I would get everybody out of that building. I would turn that basement into like a rental space and the upstairs storage.
Yeah.
Because we don't need people over 3 buildings, but there's plenty of room in this building.
Yeah.
But there's other work that it needs a fire alarm system. I think we should look at
Oh, you're gonna
sprinklers.
have to put a sprinkler system in there if it's documents, aren't you?
Well, and part of the work they did for the campus, we have a new cistern that
Yeah.
can serve these buildings. So I think, you know, we should at least get a price on retrofitting a sprinkler system, especially there. It's got that weird ceiling. It would be not that difficult. Although you don't want a sprinkler system with documents.
Well,
You want like some sort of something else, but
you need a fire retardation system
Yeah.
in there, whatever it happens to be.
honestly, these aren't even necessarily like critical things. It's just it's stuff that's been digitized. It's stuff that will be digitized. Ideally, the need for it will go away, you know, but there's like behind you, there's piles of things in different places. It'd be nice to just box it all up, sort it, and clean it up.
Yeah.
And then you know where it is.
So
So-
would your recommendation for this be to table it till the spring? Or would it be to try and put some money in there to get a study? See, the other thing is that we keep wanting engineering and we get money for it and then we don't do anything because we can't find a frickin' engineer.
Right. I mean, this is another one, and my thought was to say that, you know, if CPA would approve like 10 or 20,000 without needing all the details, that's probably a reasonable number to hire again, you're looking to hire an architect firm or somebody to just come in. Ideally, they're going to work with us and design the space that we want and help us write the bid spec, because that's going to have to go out to bid. That's going to need a general contractor.
Right.
So I don't know what that would cost, but that would be this request. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if, I don't think I have the time to deal with it. So we may want to table this if it's not going to happen anytime
Well,
soon.
I mean, it shouldn't only be up to you to do these things,
So-
Dan. If we can like farm it out and find out, it would be nice if we could get an architect that would do the windows and would do the library. Do
Yeah.
we have a list of people?
The state has lists, like those preservation consultants or like whoever, the people that did the senior center of the library. But I think they're 2 separate projects.
2 separate projects, but we could do
Completely.
1 set of engineering, couldn't we? Maybe
I think I would keep them separate because
keep them separate.
one of them is very likely to get funded, and I think the other one, I mean, I don't know. So,
So can I ask a question? How imperative is it that we go down this path on the library? The only reason that I ask is that we already know that there's going to be some resistance to getting the work done on the Seth Hastings house. At the law office. We've already
like
had
what?
several
Yeah.
people
Saying I was kind of, there's another house that I don't know about.
Well, the argument for the library is that someone has mentioned the need for a file room and wants to convert a room in this basement town hall. And mainly me, and this came from me and Ellen talking and saying, gee, why not next door? That would be the ideal place to store stuff. I don't think it's, but I don't think it's necessarily something that needs to happen right away.
Right.
And I think this item I'm going to bring up under 48 hours, I think we have bigger fish to fry in terms of overall planning
I
and
have a suggestion. Why don't we just table the upstairs of the library? It's something we would like to do, but if you say there's one thing you've got there, we've still got the records room that we've got to
Right.
get working on. Some of these other things, let's prioritize. I mean, again, it seems as if every town meeting we're going asking for money to do studies on something, and we really need to have, maybe a little bit more studying of what alternatives there are, and is that the best solution?
right.
You know what I mean? If it's going to cost money and we're talking about maybe costing 100 grand to do something like that, is that something that we really want to go down that road until we've really studied, is that the best option? Is that the best way to do it? And something like that. And none of us at the moment, unfortunately, have an awful lot of time. I think that could be a project that maybe we could do, maybe put off. Do you feel that we should put it off, or do you want to do it now?
No, I think that one in particular I would table. And to be honest, maybe to your earlier point, I think what needs to happen is that CBI study needs to get refreshed, because we've now ignored chunks of it, and enough has changed that I think some of it is no longer valid.
Yeah.
Which is another problem. You know,
Yeah, I
I've
think
said this
so.
before,
I
that-
think that, you know, this is a personal observation. This is just my 2 cents. I think that, you know, the campus study, the campus work that was done, it was a study. It was a lot of people together. It was a lot of people that said what would be the best do, and everyone came together and worked on it, and it's going to be fabulous. I think that that is what we should be happening on anything to do with the town. And the library could be a good example. This building.
Well, that's part of what I'm going to bring up.
So what do you think, Kathy?
I agree.
Yeah.
That we should be approaching this in a comprehensive fashion,
Yeah.
not piecemeal.
Yeah, and really, you know, I mean, ideally, there should be a study group that meets periodically for anything that goes on in the town hall. And, you know, if
Gee.
someone comes up with an idea, because if you have an idea, who do you go to? There should be a group of people that are really working for what's best for the town hall. And that does include the windows as well, really.
Yeah.
Do we really want to spend a couple of $100,000 on windows? I don't know. Nobody really knows. But, you know, you're going to have kickback from people if it's just, this is a suggestion, this is how much money we want to spend, let's do it, kind of deal, you know? Okay. All right, let's table that one. Do I have to notify? I'll notify Ann.
I can email. I don't know if it's too late to pull from the warrant and just say we're going to pull that one. We're going to leave the windows for now, or
Leave the windows, because I
Yeah.
still think it's something that you're still going to have to do the work to get the information to
Right.
decide what you want to do.
and pull the other one for the
But the
library.
library, I think you're not going to need it as much at that point. All right.
And let me just clarify that we are going to have a ramp to the library, an accessible ramp.
So that when they did the campus study, they did a real rough sketch that just showed that you could put a ramp on the front of the building. It would be two layers, 1 and 1, that would meet ADA, so you could have an ADA entrance to the second floor.
Okay, so we didn't approve money
No,
for the ramp. We just approved that it can be done.
they just did a quick and dirty sketch to prove that it's feasible and it would meet the existing grades, but none of that work is getting done.
Okay.
But it just at
Yeah.
least, yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, because obviously without that ramp, your file room's gone. Because
Right.
how are you going to get stuff up there and people up there? You know,
I mean, yeah,
upstairs.
so,
No, would need that. Okay.
at
All
least,
right, well,
at least
if
we know
everyone
it's
is,
possible.
yeah, if everyone's in agreement with that, we will table that item. And concentrate on a couple of other things. All right. Does anybody have anything for that further until we move on to old business?
No, but I don't know if you want to talk about this. About the work in this building briefly, because I think you basically just said what I was going to say.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
so I emailed it to you all. This was sent out to me today to post on the town's website. I'm going to screen share it. It's a request for quotes for main floor office remodel. It is a 1-page document. There's the construction scope. And I guess my reason for bringing it up, and we're doing all this work. There's no plan. And it's beautiful. When you go to that treasurer's office, it's beautiful when they restored the ceiling. But like, so now here, install new drop ceiling. Why are we putting new drop ceilings in this historic building?
Where is this for?
My assumption is that this is a request for quotes to complete the work on the second floor of this building that has ground to a halt because they apparently did not follow procurement, is my understanding. I'm not really sure. But I believe they're going to have to ask for more money.
But wait a minute. This has already been done.
No, this is all the offices on the other side, the Gene's office. So Gene got moved to the basement because they're going to renovate Gene's old office. And the select board office and the accountant office back there, that whole other side of the building, they haven't finished at all. They ran out of money, I believe. Because that work was being done with remember the town meeting when they asked for $40,000?
Yeah.
And we said, what's the plan? And then they sat on that money for like 3 years and then they started doing this work.
Right.
But I guess my point is, I think this is another opportunity to perhaps kick this back to the select board and say, listen, we'd like to sit down, like Kathy just said, this should be a comprehensive plan. It seems like stuff is being decided. You know, I think this probably needs to go to the state for the preservation restriction when you're talking about taking down walls.
Yeah.
You know, even if they're not historic
I'm
walls.
building new walls.
You know, and I, you know, Kathy brought this up before about, you know, we should be moving towards bringing this building back to its historic roots,
Yep.
not just putting in a modern office building and covering everything up because it's quick and dirty and cheap. And I just, you know, we had that CBI study had all these recommendations about fire alarms and elevators and HVAC. And instead we're calling up a random we're putting in a mini split in one office. But there's grants out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've kind of had it and
What?
I feel like, you know, we said it before and we got poo-pooed, but I think there should be some sort of a building committee
Yeah.
that's coordinating all
Yep.
this. I mean, even the bricks, I asked Jane to, even that bricks and mortar grant, there's $100,000 we could have towards this work.
Yep.
Why are we paying it out of tax? I mean, I don't know how this is being funded. I have no idea, but why, that 40,000 was out of tax revenue. CPA could be paying for this work,
Right.
you know, and
And people are going to ask why we aren't using CPA funds for this.
Right.
um,
That would be my question.
my assumption is there's going to be an article on the warrant for this money, but I'm not really sure. I haven't seen the final warrant. I guess I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, you know, I was going to maybe send this to somebody, but I think it might be worth trying to see if we could have a meeting with the select board and talk about the approach to this work.
Dan, did we already approach the select board and ask them about doing a committee, you know, to oversee all of this stuff? Did we already do that?
I feel like I know I did it in an email. I think it was discussed in a meeting, and I think at the meeting I think what we were told is that if there were questions or concerns to bring it to the select board and that they are the committee. That's kind of how I thought it got left.
That is exactly how it got left. Because if you recall, it was a different meeting, was it a historic meeting?
No, it was a meeting. I might have been a meeting talking about the painting. Something to do with the painting.
I remember Lonnie was here and we had said, and Mike Goddard was here, and they had said, this kind of sounds like maybe people aren't happy with what's going on. And we are the committee, and if there's an issue, it should be brought to us. And that was all I remember. I do remember that, but I don't know that it wasn't a select board meeting.
Yeah, I seem to remember this coming up at one. I mean, I don't know, because like you just said, that this campus project is the perfect example.
Yeah.
You get everybody together with an engineer. So then they say, what do you want? What do you want? They come back with proposed designs. You know, because I don't want to discount the work that was done. You know, again, that treasurer's office is beautiful. That's what we should be striving for. And if that costs us $100,000 and whatever, great. That's money we should be spending.
Well, the other thing is now you're halfway done. So now you're halfway done. You're bringing somebody else in to finish it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
You're gonna lose the continuity between,
That's exactly it. You've got an historic building, which if everything, there's symmetry and everything, there's a flow to it, and everything is done to the same standard, then you can say, okay, but if now halfway done and you're gonna have, you know, beadboard and chair rails and all this kind of thing, I don't know. This one's actually giving me like, excuse my language, a brain fart. I'm kind of really out of how you can get halfway through the work and then all of a sudden decide that you're going to go back and get an RFP for some, oh, I don't know.
I think they got themselves into a corner on that. And now they have to make sure that they follow procedures.
I don't know, like this is, I mean, I'm trying not to make waves, but like this is the kind of thing, like if I was going to fix a door at the beach house, this is what I would do. Replace the door. This is a commercial town building, a historic building. I mean, and this is our construction specs, remove 3 walls,
At the very least.
paint some stuff,
I mean,
and there'll be
I
a site
know-
visit.
Well, I know we had that first meeting where I came as well, and they were walking through, looking through with all different people. It was like 20 people saying what they wanted to do, but then nothing happened for like a year.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I know that Kathy, I think, and you too, Dan, were all of a sudden like being spoken to about it. But at what point, and I think I did make this point at the last meeting, we have a historic commission. We also have a local historic district commission. The historic commission should have had somebody appointed to whatever board has been making all these decisions, and so should the local historic district, because that's what we're here for. So you've got a beautiful historic building that no one really has contacted historic about at all.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem.
I mean, there's pieces, you know, again, certainly there are partition walls. There's large chunks of that weren't historic to begin with. But when we're talking about removing old paneling, we should be specifying what's going in, you know, because like this up here, this is all historic.
Right.
So, and to his credit, the work that Dan did, I think he really tried to restore those details, but this doesn't seem to include any of that.
Well, it says replacing beadboard, but
You know,
it's not maintaining it. I don't know. I think
just,
I think I'm a bit blown away by it, to be honest.
Maybe it would be a good idea for at least one of us to attend the site visit and make sure that there is clarification.
well, you have to schedule it, so maybe you should schedule one.
Didn't the notice that you got give a date? I think it was November 2nd.
That's the due date.
So they're just coming in on their own.
Here, I shared it again.
All right, sorry. I didn't read that.
So I mean, I don't know. I feel like, and I'm, you know, this is just little, but just in general, I think there's so much work here, you know, and it's just too much for any one person to try and manage. I mean, really, this is at the level of needing a general contractor. You know, there's
Definitely.
issues with the lighting, issues with the fire alarms, all sorts of work that could be
The whole
done.
thing should have been a general contractor, because
Oh.
wherever there's an issue, I mean, the work that I've seen looks absolutely gorgeous. But I don't know the construction company or people that have done the work. What if there's a problem down the road? Who do we go back to?
I mean, well, there were major, I mean, he
Yeah.
found total missing structure. It was, in the whole, I guess in that front room, there was like a whole missing support column. So you had to get Tim in and figure out, you know, how to properly support it and,
Well,
you know, stuff that had
this
been
is
covered up for
something-
50 years.
Well, this is something where I have an issue with this saying request for quotes, because firstly, it should say request for proposal. There should have been a proposal first of you with a plan that everyone can see everything that's gone on. And then they can do a quote based on that proposal. But I don't know.
But that's my kind of my point about the the CBI study, and there seems to be reference to a study. But unfortunately, I think we waited so long that there's, some of that study is still very valid. It had lots of recommendations about things, but it had other issues, that the design has changed. I mean, that was before the police station was proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we should be, if we're ripping all those walls out, we should be doing sprinklers down there.
Absolutely.
We should be doing a building-wide HVAC system, which green communities we're not going to pay all of it. They might only pay like 20%, but we could get money back from the state.
I mean, they can put, even with like going through Mass Save.
Well, that's what this is.
Is that essentially what that is? Okay.
We have our own.
I mean, even with the mini splits, you can put mini splits if this building doesn't warrant or isn't capable of putting a whole building HVAC in. There's other things that you can do, but you can't just, they're spending town money and you can't just go ahead and do this without everybody knowing what the heck's going on. Wow.
So I don't know. This has been going on for a while, but I guess I think maybe it's worth pushing this again and going back to them. And I guess we'll see what's going to be on the warrant, because I don't know how any of this is getting paid for. But I guess it just seems like, from Historic's perspective, I'm concerned that there potentially is work being done that violates the preservation restriction.
And I am not,
And
I'm telling you right now, chair or not, if the state comes back on this, I'm not taking the can for any of it, because I don't know what the heck's gone on. I mean, this definitely should have had historic input.
I'm wondering if,
I don't know.
So I agree, Lynn and Dan, with what you're saying, and which direction we need to move this in, and had we gotten some feedback about working together, then we could access this CPA fund.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Kathy. We could what?
I'm just thinking that we should be using those CPA funds to fund some of this work at the town hall.
Yeah.
And if we don't communicate and guide the process, then we lose that money.
Right.
well, it just sits in the bank and
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
then we get told the library can't have extra hours because we can't afford it. But yet we have all this untapped revenue we could be better allocating.
Right, and if we were all working together and discussing it, then I think that would really help to move funds in the right direction.
Right.
So I don't know if
This is a tough one. I don't know where we go from here.
when I haven't watched the select board meetings, I don't know what was discussed. I'm told, I believe there's a warrant article being requested for money, and I thought it was something to do with that back hallway, because they're going to hopefully kind of redesign that, and I think she needed engineering money for that, but I don't know any details. That was something. Remember when she mentioned to us about opening up that back into like a foyer.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the plan or what. I guess we have to just pay attention to meetings, or perhaps request, or perhaps, I hate to say it, perhaps we need to talk to the state and find out what triggers their involvement.
That's a tough one, Dan. How do you broach that subject? Can you tell me what we can't do or you're going to get involved in?
Well, that's the same question with the windows. What is the level of work
Dan,
that can and can't be done?
we haven't done any work on the windows. We're asking the question. Questions need to be asked before the work is done. And I think we're kind of definitely putting the cart out behind the horse instead of in
Right.
front of it. Wow.
I don't know.
This is a tough one because the work has been done. It looks great. We know there's more work to be done, but you don't want to make it seem as if you're kind of being difficult or causing an issue. But at some point, this is going to come back. So I don't know whether you go to the select board and say who is actually controlling this, who is, I mean, we should have, as you said, there should be like a facilities manager department within town. I think at this point that, I mean, even with the records room, somebody should have been monitoring that and taking care of that. That's a town building. The library next door, they should have been looking at. It shouldn't come down to like last minute decisions on everything. I don't know.
You know, I just realized this. This study is Garcia and D'Souza. I think that's who did some work next door in the police station. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is interesting.
Um,
So
well, yeah.
why don't we arrange to meet with the administrator and talk about, the future financial support, CPA funds can provide on projects for the town hall.
And do you think if we could do something like that, we could also at that point say that, this work should not be done on a property with a preservation restriction without at least involving the state to a certain extent? Because if all of a sudden we lose all our grant money and everything else because we've actually violated the terms of that preservation restriction, then what?
Right.
Yeah, I guess I'm just concerned, I'm all for cleaning up and whatever. I think this has gone far beyond just changing out a few doors and painting some walls. I think we should completely stop, do a study and come up with, the 5-year plan for this building. Who's going in what office? What's the final layout going to be? And what's the path to get that work done? I don't know. It seems like we're going after little bits and pieces and the previous stuff hasn't been finished.
Well, and if you only have one person doing this, you're going to run into problems because somebody is going to raise a question of, well, what about? And that's not been thought of. That's why everything should be done on a committee basis.
Yeah. Well, you go beyond the CBI, you hire somebody and give them to come up with actual, I'm just thinking, you look at the bid specs for some of these projects, they're 1,200 pages long of whatever.
Yep.
And I think, it's one thing to just paint a wall and do whatever, but I think when we start talking about moving walls and stuff, I was actually talking to Mr. Quirk before the meeting about that, the ceilings and stuff. The voters may fully be interested in funding a restoration of those tin ceilings.
I would.
Again, versus just crappy drop ceilings.
Yep.
You're gonna have to move all the absolutely, but I think it potentially is money well spent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When was the downstairs actually renovated? Do you know? When the drop ceilings were installed and things like that, would it be
60s or 70s. So from what I understand, that was like 2 rooms, a front and a back, and the police may have been in the back, and the front was like you could book it. They had like scout things in there because the town offices were in the record room or in people's houses.
What?
And then at some point, they divided that up into those partitioned walls because all those walls are partition walls.
Right.
That work was probably all done in the 50s, 60s, 70s. It kind of fits the narrative, the well tank, and that all seems to date to that time period.
Okay.
So then they occupied this building. Because it was all volunteer boards. You had no staff. You had your town clerk. You had a random secretary, and that was it. I guess you had an assessor and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so looking at and I don't know why they closed it all in. Nobody seems to, I don't know. I've never gotten a good answer as to why they thought that was the approach to just cover everything up, but cheapo, whatever, and drilled right through all the tin ceilings. And
exactly what's being done now.
I know they did the windows in the early thousands, maybe, because Jean was, or 90s, because Jean was a select woman.
Okay.
Then the state came through and put the glass windows in and the addition and the elevator. That was all done early 2000s. That was a grant from the state for accessibility. So I don't know.
And where is this going out to?
I don't know. I was asked to post it on the website, so it's on the website under procurement.
Oh,
I think she said it was going to the central register. So the state, I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not a super expert on this stuff. I don't know what the threshold is for quotes versus a formal RFP. I believe it's like 35,000. This doesn't seem to include any electrical, so I assume that's all separate. Or if it's at a level that you can just get, so certain things you can only get 3 quotes for, then over a certain amount, you have to get sealed bids. There's like different thresholds. I know Parks got in big trouble years ago. You're not supposed to do things, they were like doing work on the classroom in pieces, go to Home Depot, buy some lights. And then it crossed over, at the time it was 5,000. And Claudia reported them to the state, and the state said, yeah, you have to, over 5 or 10, you have to go out to bid. So I don't know. But
okay.
whatever.
All right. Well, we'll have to, I mean, the thing is, if we do want to do something, it's got to be quick. If they're looking for this bid to come in by November 2nd.
Well, I mean, I don't know how this intends to be paid for. I assume that will be a warrant article, so that will be something to be voted on.
Well, that's why she needs the bids by November the 2nd.
I seem to recall at a CPA meeting, someone stating that there would be meetings to talk about this stuff, so I wonder whatever happened to that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess, I don't know, like, I don't care where my office is. I'm not, whatever, but just seems like the overall project should be.
Well, yeah.
I don't care about change. Change is good.
No, but what you needed a master plan, and everybody, we're going to put you there. Well, that doesn't make sense putting me there. Why can't, oh, I don't know. Oh. So do you think that we should, suggest we talk to Kim, or should we talk to the select board and let the select board deal with it? What do you think, Kathy? Is she there?
Sorry, my mouth is full.
That's okay. Lucky you. Do you think that we should approach the select board, Kathy? About this?
To be honest, I would like to develop a conversation with the administrator and get something maybe in writing that we can start to use as a guide.
Okay.
I hate to put it in front of the select board, although they are the final decision makers. I just don't, I guess, like Dan said, it's, do we want to make waves, or do we want to just, see if we can solve the problem? But we have been sitting on this one for a while.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dan?
I don't know. I think there's a fundamental disagreement over how this type of work is to be managed, and I don't think that is ever going to be resolved in that way. But I think if we're just trying to have some input into the plan, that maybe it's worth just reaching out and saying, hey, we saw this, we're concerned, we'd really like this to trend in a certain direction.
Yeah, I get it. I don't really want to come off as like,
I mean, I think as a voter, I'm going to have things to say about this at town meeting, but that's separate from the actions this committee might take. So maybe the first step is to reach out and just say, hey, we saw this get posted. We'd really like to, we'd like to have you come to a meeting and talk about, the scope of what this work and what the result is. Right. Because the goal would be the historic restoration of this building and ensuring that any work that's done is in keeping with that.
Well, and the fact that it has a preservation restriction on it, which doesn't just cover the outside, it covers the inside. Right. And at some point, if this doesn't have approval and it all starts coming and hitting the fan, who's going to be responsible for all this?
And unfortunately, I think I'd at least feel better seeing that stuff is documented. Yeah. Than just, oh yeah, we'll take care of it. I mean, yes, Dan did beautiful work, but what if it's not Dan, like you said before? Right. who knows whoever they award a contract to.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I'd just like to, see a little bit more than,
So do you think we should approach the administrator for a discussion, or should it be on an email, or how would you want to go ahead and handle it? I think Kathy's got a mouthful again.
Again, sorry. Why don't we invite her to a meeting? And ask her to
But our next meeting isn't until November the 19th,
Right.
and that's going to be too late.
I mean, my assumption is they're doing this so they can get quotes, so they can get money at the town meeting.
Yeah, Dan, I think you're spot
Having
on.
an earlier- What about having an earlier meeting to invite her to?
And just have this as like the only item.
I mean, we could meet we're going to meet on November 3rd, but we're going to have a heck of a hearing. 2 of them.
I would prefer not to do this on November the 3rd.
Yeah.
What about the end of October somewhere?
I mean, if we're going to have a meeting, it's got to definitely be before the special town meeting, hasn't it, on the 14th?
Right, so why don't we look at a meeting during the daytime? When everybody's, I think a lot of people are around, all of us are.
I can do that.
That would actually probably be better because it's more of a business meeting.
Yeah,
That dog's not staying.
all right, let's
I
do that.
actually would.
Um,
That might be the first step to just say, hey, can we set up a meeting during the day to just, to talk about this and.
Are you around like next Monday, the 24th?
Yes, the only potential, so the person we want to meet with is usually physically here on Wednesdays, but I think can meet remote other days. Wednesday works as a meeting at
Only
1.
one day a week?
So I don't know, she's usually here Wednesdays.
So are you around on Monday?
Yes, there's a meeting. We both are at a meeting from 1 to 2 for the campus. So outside that
Here?
time, it'll be probably a Teams meeting. But
Teams?
yeah, otherwise I'll be around. I know that's a
Because
standing.
maybe we could do either Monday or Tuesday next week, because this has just come up.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
would be, well, we have to post if we're going to meet. Well, we'd have to schedule it and yeah, it would work. We get a few days.
Janice, would you like to be at the meeting too?
Yeah.
Okay, can you do during the day, Monday or Tuesday next week?
Yes.
Why don't I send her an email and say we would like to have a get-together meeting like during the week, either Monday or Tuesday next week, to go over this information, because there are a few things that we need to go through with in advance of the special town meeting.
That sounds good.
Right, I'll do that when I get back tonight.
All right, and Monday, I'm free until about 2:00, and then after that, I'm gonna be at an appointment.
3 till 2 Monday. All right, well, maybe I'll suggest Tuesday then.
Sure.
All right, can you do Tuesday, Dan?
Hang on a second. Who was this sending to? Okay. Tuesday during the day
Yeah.
on the 25th, yes.
All right. I'll suggest that and see what time works best for her. We don't at this point need to invite anybody from the select board in there, do we?
No, I think we just get, if there's a quorum of us, it has to be a posted meeting. That's all for us.
So that would mean we only need 3 of us, not 4 of us, right?
Right. If it's not a quorum, then we don't need to post, but we also can't deliberate and make any decisions. We can just, if It would just be an off-the-record conversation that then I mean, this isn't really a matter that the Historic Commission would get involved in necessarily. We don't have voting, like we're not making formal votes, although our support or not support might be something that was voted on. But, I would say if we think all 4 of us are going to attend, we should post it just to avoid violating open meeting law,
I think we should post it.
just to be safe.
I will find out from her when we can do the meeting on Tuesday, and then we will post it. And I will say, because of the open meeting law, we need to post it.
That sounds good, Lynn.
Okay.
I
mean, we just have to, we just have to let it be known that it's not just about going out, getting a bid, getting the town to pay for it. There are steps that need to be taken here. And, we're talking about spending money on engineering studies to make sure that we do it right and we do it the right way. And then we're just going off and spending, a couple of $100,000 on something that really is very, very important. I mean, even so downstairs, can I just ask a question? Downstairs, as they put new windows in?
No windows whatsoever.
So when it comes to now, if we want to do something with the windows, all the work that's done downstairs has now got to be ripped out because we're going to put new windows in.
No, because Dan specifically did all the casings that they're all screwed in so they can be unscrewed so the windows can be replaced. What happened is Jody got involved when she started, and so she kind of directed a lot of that. So she made sure that some of that was done to basically make allowances for that future work. Because she's actually really familiar with the construction stuff. So she ended up kind of managing at least the stuff related to her office. So the work that was done, it was all done with the mind that the windows could be replaced.
Okay. All right.
I mean, all they've done really, so they've replaced the ceiling tiles, replaced the carpets, replaced all that beadboard and redid the walls. And then in a few cases, they've opened up partition walls. So
and changed windows,
and
moved windows around.
Nothing interior, those service windows,
Right.
I think most of them are going, or they redid the one
Yep.
for the treasurer's office, so that's all like one big cavern now.
Yep.
And then the doors and the trim, that's all the work that was discussed with us way back. We met with Kim. That's what they're finally doing. So they're replacing all the doors, but there's those stupid frosted glass things that I don't particularly care for, but whatever. But
It's not in keeping with the building.
But he's matching all the trim at least, so it's not crappy particle board doors. So it's all this stuff.
Right, but it is.
I do think. I mean, that's an original. So apparently that's an original door. I'm pointing to that closet door into Laura's office behind the recording equipment, and that door going down to the basement staircase is an original door.
Okay.
But I guess maybe that's more
Well,
aesthetic.
whatever, it's got to be in keeping with the historic nature of the building.
I guess, again, I just,
All right.
I don't know who's the final arbiter of making decisions. It just seems like if we're going to spend $400 on a door, or however much, $300 on a door, let's get a historic reproduction door,
Right.
not a modern door.
Okay. All right, I will do that and I will let everybody know. Was there anything else? All right, so we're done with all the new business. Old business, the historic district expansion, what's happening with that?
Nothing new. There's going to be another hearing on November 3rd at 6 p.m. Because apparently the hearing has to be 60 days after the submission to the planning board.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do that. They are removing that one property, 30 Washington Street, the landlocked one. I don't know who was there. I think
Why?
I think that the commission felt that it just wasn't, it seemed to be a point of contention. It was unbuildable wetland that had absolutely no frontage, and if that's what it takes to make people happy, then get rid of it. I think that's what we decided. I have to go back and look at the minutes.
Makes one person happy.
But yeah, but it's completely landlocked, unbuildable wetland.
I'm wondering, how does that affect
Let me look again.
the proposal, though? Because now we have an end to the, I
I don't think it
Going
matters.
back in time, I thought you couldn't exclude properties from it.
I have to go back and look, but I don't think he, when we talked to Jen Doherty, she first questioned it because it was missing from the map and said, you just need to say if it's in or out.
No.
Here for a second. I think that I think it's only on Washington Street just by name, like it's nowhere near the other properties.
Right.
I want to look at the minutes and just see what we actually, make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Jack Hunter, I think, recommended it shouldn't be included. No structure was involved. 30 does not abut Washington Street.
It
It's
does
empty.
abut it because it's got a its
No, but
physical address is Washington Street.
yeah, but it doesn't physically, it doesn't have frontage on Washington Street at all. It's completely landlocked.
Okay.
That's a lot of these parcels were just assigned a number like near where they were,
Yeah.
but it's not, I mean, here, let me pull up the map again. It's not even close. And then I seem to remember we talked about like how you potentially access it. I think all these houses are built out. So see, it's all the way back here on the,
Right.
so it has no, it's completely blocked by all these house lots that are all narrow house lots anyway. You know, so unless they're gonna give up all these houses and do a driveway back here, and it's wet. Completely, you know, on wetland, if I can get this to cooperate.
Okay.
No, it doesn't have anything there. So I think, I don't know. I mean, again, it could be discussed again at this hearing, so could certainly change the position.
On to New England Steak and Seafood? Because that's the same owner, isn't it?
I think the brother owns this one,
Okay.
but I think it does. No, because I think this 23 is that Murphy Insurance.
Okay.
No, 23 is the one. Yes, a 23 is behind it. This 19 is that truck boat place. Steak and Seafood is 11, and what is this, 9?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess theoretically, 23 is between them.
Okay.
So
All right.
they've got, I mean, if they want a potential access, they could get it off this way.
If they think that that's going to help matters,
I
okay,
don't know.
do
I mean,
it.
it's fully in the residential zone.
Yep.
So, and actually, I think it's going to be in the, hang on, where's the Hastings Street property? I think it's, oh no, that's up here. It's going to be the zone of the well. So I don't know. That was the discussion. I guess that vote could be revisited at this hearing, but that's really the only change.
Okay.
So
And everything is ready. Who's actually presenting it at the town meeting?
oh, I don't know. Probably me or Deb. We'll make Deb do it.
Okay.
I'll
But everything else is a go.
as far as I know, I mean, I think again, somebody's going to have to answer questions at town meeting.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if other people can speak, that would help. And we did amend the design guidelines a little bit, which I haven't had time to post, but I will do that. Basically adding, we got some feedback from, Brendan Chanel actually sent a lot of really good information.
Okay.
And we're proposing another article for the town meeting to amend the district bylaw to add in an exemption for play structures. That's
Good.
the
Yeah.
other thing
Yep.
that we felt that didn't need to be regulated.
Yep. I saw that. Yep. That works. Okay. So we
I don't know.
continued the discussion on the CPA projects, the records, library, blah, blah, blah. Continued discussion on cemeteries. Did we get all the stuff for the cemeteries?
You have all the tools. I still got to order the cleaning D2 or whatever. All the other stuff is we have it now. So I
We
will
do
that.
need
I just
to,
haven't,
We were talking about those signs that we need. I'm thinking we need to try and get signs in all of the cemeteries as soon as possible, because driving along Providence Road, you know, the big cemetery down Providence Road, somebody has been in there and cleaned a couple of stones in there, and they've done it the wrong way again. They've done it.
Well, those are the two that went missing. They I'm pretty sure they took them and had them sandblasted and brought them back.
Oh, I didn't know that two had gone missing.
Oh yeah, I feel like we talked about that. Yeah, I'm mowing and I'm like, there are two stones there. So I'm like texting my mother. I'm like, what used to be here? And we were trying to figure out like from the adjacent stones. And then like maybe a month later, they were back all white and shiny. So
Well, we need to
somebody
put
should take the
something
names
in-
off those and figure out who
Well,
did
it's the
that.
same people that did the Bicknell ones.
Oh, so somebody should look and see if they're related. Is
It's
it?
the same name.
We should get somebody to do a
It's not
search.
Taft. Janice, do you remember the names of the
I have a picture of it.
stones that were done down on Bicknell?
Penniman was one of them.
What was it?
Penniman.
No, not the ones we cleaned. Remember the two that had been sandblasted?
Oh, no, I don't.
And it's the same people as the one there in Swandale.
I might have it.
Same name. So it must be the same family.
Is it
So-
the gas?
Yes,
Was it Gaskill?
Gaskill. Yeah. But if you, so what we need to do is we need somehow to get these signs put up in the cemeteries that people should not be doing anything without permission.
Here we go. It's
Is it Gaskill?
Mercy D, wife of William Hadley, and then the other one is well, that's the same one. William Hadley. So Hadley is the last name.
No, I'm sure that the ones down there as well, they're the ones that are on Providence Road?
They're towards the left. They're bright, stark white now.
Yeah, I've seen
They
them.
look like this.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, it's Hadley. So I don't know who they are.
Hmm.
William Hadley died 1873. Oh. Is that a 7 or a 2? I think it's a 7.
But you can't see because they've not done it right.
In the 98th year of his age. Ooh, wow. 1833.
So we need to get those cleaning supplies, and then I think we're going to need to, this is like,
I mean, it's kind of a delicate, I don't know what you put on a sign that,
Well,
is anybody going to read? But
well, I think you say, please do not undertake any cleaning of any of these stones without discussing it with the administrator of the cemeteries historic commission.
I would say historic commission for pretty much all of them. I mean, I think there's some question of ownership on some of them, but I think in this case, that's a fair thing to just say,
Yeah.
please contact the historic commission. Please contact the historic commission before undertaking any work in this cemetery
Right.
is probably a good bet.
I mean, if it's your family stone, I don't know, we can turn around and say, don't do it. And I don't think we should say, don't do it. But what we do is say, hey, listen,
Right.
This is the way we do it. And we've got the materials and everything to help you.
Yeah. So I know Kathy, you had emailed out a draft. I think we could probably just ask Karen for another sign, and we probably should look at all the cemetery signs and see if they need to be replaced or what their condition is.
Yep.
I'll try. At some point, I'll be going around when I do the leaf cleanup. I can try and remember to take a look at some of them.
Yeah. And
But-
we have somebody that is doing the signs, right, Kathy?
Yeah, we were just with Karen.
Karen,
Signs.
Signs Plus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What was there was something about the library sign that we needed to talk about. I don't know if I totally changed the subject.
Just what you wanted to say. Do you want to give a historical summary of the building,
Oh.
like you did for the town hall, or?
That way it was the name,
Yeah.
which that building still doesn't have a name.
No, it did. We voted on it.
No, nothing ever happened with it. We were going to do something, then we tabled it. Then Mark was going to do something, and then he didn't. Then somebody else was looking into something. They've never formally made a decision.
I thought they formally made a decision at one of the meetings. They took a vote and said that it was, what was the name of the Taft lady?
Well, my suggestion was Rosa Taft.
That
Make
was
it the
what it
Rosa
was
Taft
supposed to
building,
be, I
but
thought, wasn't it?
I don't think the select board ever decided, because at the time they didn't want two Taft, they thought Taft would be confusing. Then somebody was suggesting naming it after,
Well, this
a
should be
former
the Rosa
librarian.
Taft.
That's what I
Old
think.
Rosa Taft Library, and the other one should be the Mendon, Town of Mendon Library.
Well, it has to be the Taft Public Library because of how it was done. It's always
Oh.
the Taft Public Library because they got estates and things. But this, I think, should be the Taft Municipal Building
Yeah,
instead of the Town Hall Annex.
yes.
I'm sorry, but that's a
Mhm.
dumb name. I don't think it ever, I think we had brought it up, and I think it was just nobody really wanted to, whatever. And maybe it's worth bringing it up to this new select board and seeing if they were more amenable to talking about it sometime. You know, if you think of it, somebody mention it to Mike or Mike. One of those guys might be into it. So that's true. So it probably, because they have a name on them, don't they, Kathy?
What am I answering? Sorry.
The house signs, it says like the whatever house circa year, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we do the research on those plaques and
Yeah.
we tie them back to what we believe is the original owner.
Yeah.
And the circa date that we believe it was built.
Hmm.
But they don't necessarily have to have the owner information on it.
Could we just should we just do the Taft building and see if anybody notices? Is that terrible?
I
don't
think.
You said no or yes?
I said, yes, that's terrible. So you know what? I did a little summary.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
the Union Chapel. That's really that's what it was. It was the Union Chapel.
Right.
But sorry, go ahead. You did a summary.
I can do like a 3 or 4 sentence summary on, how it came to be the Taft Library. And we can vote on that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll just look and that sign looks like crap, so we should probably
Yeah.
get,
I mean, the records room has a narrative, the town hall has a narrative. I think it would be good to, narrate a little bit about the Union Chapel.
I think that would be super, because I didn't know that. Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
Well, we had talked about doing
The
another
sentence.
educational seminar on this seminars like in the fall, but if we don't have the supplies, it really doesn't work to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to.
We had talked about getting stewards for the cemeteries,
Yep.
setting up an educational program for them.
Yep. I'm
Do we
just,
still want to do that? Fortunately,
I would love to do it. I would love to do something like that. We would just need to set it up, I think.
the issue is the public.
Sorry?
I mean, with not having the paper, how do you news out?
I'm sorry, I got every other word there. Without having a what?
The paper anymore?
Yeah, yeah. I know it does. It's tough to get word out. I mean, we can put it on the website, but I don't know who all goes. I mean, there's nothing to stop us putting something in the Milford Daily,
I wouldn't
but
waste
I
your
don't
money.
know how many people read it.
I would just put it on Facebook and go from there, and I think
Oh,
you'll get
that's a
word of
good
mouth.
idea. Yeah, we could put it on Facebook.
But I think, so another cleaning is what considering, or
No, we're actually
just
thinking more in terms of
advertising for the
a
actual,
seminar. Advertising for a group,
well, advertising for people.
for people to come and sit and have a discussion about it, what our plans are, what we want to do, and the fact that we would like to get stewards for each of the cemeteries.
I'm just wondering if we should just advertise for the stewards, we're looking for interested parties and see what you get.
Well, yeah, that's what we.
Do you
that's
get
what we
5 or do you
probably
get
would
500?
do. Yeah. I've still got some photographs, I think, from the, I'm sure we've got them somewhere. Photographs from the cleanings that we did. What about, shall I put together like a little blurb for Facebook about what we're doing and our plans, and that we'd like to hold a meeting of interested people that would act as stewards for the cemeteries, and what that would involve, because you've already done that work for it, Janice. So that would be ready. That would be a really good. I don't want to leave that and let that go to waste. I'd like us to do something. We're not actually going to be doing anything until the spring, are we? Do you think it's something that we could put together? Maybe something between now and the beginning of January, and then have a meeting in January? That gives us time to get the signs, to identify each of the cemeteries and how many people and what we need for each. Maybe you and I can work on it.
Sure, that's fine.
I don't want to be seen to be putting things off, though. It's just with this local historic district and other stuff, I'm wondering if I don't want to, do a half-hearted job. And we've got these couple of public hearings coming up, which are going to take time. How about you and I get together? If anybody else wants to do it as well, Kathy, or if Connie, when Connie's back, why don't I give you a call and maybe we can get together and put together like a little proposal. We could even present it at the next meeting, exactly what we want to do, because we've got to get a list of all of the cemeteries and whether they're publicly owned, privately owned, what they are. And Bicknell, for example, might need 2 stewards, whereas one of the other ones that's only got maybe 10 headstones would be 1 person.
Right. Dan, does your have a list like that?
Does what?
Did your mother?
I have the list.
Yeah, Dan's got the list.
I can send it to you all at some point. Yeah, I have a list of the ones that would fall under this, would not include Swandale, although maybe, we could reach out to them and find out if they want to be.
It's Russo Grady, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we should find out if they, if this, I think they have their own caretaking people, so I
But
don't.
they don't probably have cleaners. Maybe they want somebody that's
Yeah,
going to
so
go and clean.
we should, she was on the call. She dropped off. We should follow up with Ruth or Peg. That's a good point. Maybe that would be, they would want somebody to kind of head up those efforts in their, in their property.
Yeah. Okay, Janice, I'm going to give you a call and you and I can get together. We can put together a proposal for what we want to do, when we want to do it by, and get the cemeteries all together. And then maybe we can even, if we do a proposal for getting stewards, once we've got those people and we've got the stewards for each cemetery, then I think we can go about helping them get volunteers for each cemetery. And then we could have another, maybe we could get the people back again to do another demonstration with the stewards so they know how to do it. Because we really don't want to just open up all of our stuff willy-nilly to anybody that wants to do it. That should all go through the stewards, and the stewards should be the people that are determining which stones they want cleaned first, or if they want any repairs done or anything like that.
Right.
All right, I will give you a call. All right. And we'll get something put together. And yeah, I think maybe Facebook might be the best way to go. We could put it on the town website too. And then, yeah, like I said, it's difficult. So the town crier is not completely dead. It's on its last legs at the moment. There is a potential that somebody might come in.
My understanding, I guess my speculation at this point that the town crier as we know it is no longer operational, and that the only way you will see a new paper is if somebody brokers a deal and purchases it, or some new entity comes in and takes over.
Yeah.
So It's unfortunate, but I think, you know,
But I think there are some other like outlets that we could spread the word through.
I mean, there are other outlets. I think eventually someone will come in, whoever that is.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, we'll see.
And maybe after we could even put something on the message board.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right. It is now 8 minutes past 9 and I'm hungry. Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Thanks, Dan.
Second.
All right. Then, yeah, and we know Kathy, yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right. If nobody has anything else, we will retire for the evening.
All right.